Okie dokie nerds, welcome back to another vintage video. Today we're going to play some Mono Black Bazaar. So this is a deck I've played a bit in the past. It's always a lot of fun. It's like a black variant of Aggro Vine. Um, and we get to play with Hogaak, which is, I think, one of the more fun cards out there. That's like on that sort of edge of playability. Um, so the idea of our deck today is going to be find Bazaar of Baghdad. We've got the powders in here as well. Activate Bazaar of Baghdad to drop Lizards, Vengevines, Hollow Ones, Poxwalkers, Bloodghasts, Therapies, Hogaaks, so everything through the Bazaar. But we've also got this little bit of mana in the deck, so 3 Urborgs, 3 fetch lands, a Swamper Bio, and a Badlands, just to pump the Lizards, basically. And they're going to cast Stitcher's Supplier, the front side of Therapy, and Moonshadow. Moonshadow's a new card, which has seen a bit of play in Blue-Black Lurus so far, and it's a 1 mana 7/7, but it comes into play as a 1/1, and whenever one or more permanent cards appear into your graveyard from anywhere, we get to remove a counter from it. Okay, so when we activate Bazaar of Baghdad, that's a counter that goes. When we cast Stitcher's Supplier, that's a counter that goes. When we flashback Stitcher's Supplier with Therapy, then, or when we flashback Therapy with Stitcher's Supplier, then that's going to be, 2 more counters off our guy. So Grief Evoked will be counters off Fetchlands, Wasteland, Strip Mine, Cabal Pit in here as well, which is a fun of. That's all going to add, or all going to remove counters from the Moonshadow, a menacing 7/7, and we just hope to push through with that. So that's the idea. A little bit of interaction with Therapy and Grief, and hopefully a good dumping of power on turn 1 each game is going to be our rough game plan. Post board, I've got a couple of Night of Infamies for white, Dalthy Voidwalker 3 traps, and a bonus Wasteland for Dredge, 3 Null Rods for Jewel Shops and PO and that sort of thing, and then 4 copies of Feed the Swarm. Feed the Swarm is like a necessary evil when we're coming out of green and going into mono black. So destroy target creature or enchantment opponent controls, you lose life equal to its mana value. 2 mana sorcery, you know, pretty bad on the face of it all. However, what it does do is kill a leyline in black. So yes, there's more efficient removal out there if we want to go around killing Bowmasters and Frogs, which I think we'll just opt not to. And we'll have this instead, which will kill Leyline of the Void post board, which is, pretty big game. So that's our deck list. From experience of playing this deck or versions of this deck in the past, we really need the big, powerful starts. You don't always get them, and then you've got to grind slightly somehow. But with Bloodghast, Poxwalkers, Vines, and Hogaak, we have got a little bit of late game to us, like the ability to redeploy post problems. When our opponent locks us down, we can get out of it. So, Mono Black Bazaar of Baghdad, and we will see you for round 1 of this Vintage League. Okay, then, round 1, we're up against Demo Gosu, and we are on the play. We do have a Bazaar. We've got an interesting one here. Maybe we want to go. Do we want to play turn 1 Moonshadow? I think we will, just to try and play the new card. So we can go turn 1 Moonshadow, turn 2 Stitcher's Supplier, activate Hollow 1 Vengevine, Poxwalkers. Vengevine comes back into play. We attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Right, we're going to try turn 1 Moonshadow. I appreciate it doesn't look like the play, but it's in, it's there, it's a 1/1. We're gaming. Talongates. So we're up against Jewel Shops, I think that means, or Raker. This could be quite a large dump of cards from our opponent. So Mox Pearl, Grim Monolith, and then a Glaring Flesh Raker. Okay, I'd love to hit a Grief here. So we'll play our Stitcher Supplier, pump our guy. We hit another Vengevine, so that's a lock to come into play. We'll play Bazaar of Baghdad and activate it. We do hit the Grief, so I'm going to discard Vine, Pox, Badlands. It has to be that, right? Like, I'd love the Badlands to turn on the pit next turn, but my threshold is going to decrease by 2 due to the 2 vines. So those 3 get discarded. I do want to Grief pre-combat for the extra power and toughness, so I am just going to do that. Vine you, Grief happens. They've got Sensei's Divining Top, Scrolling Crawler, and the One Ring. So we'll take Sensei's Divining Top. And then we'll just cast the Hollow one, and we'll attack for 12. Crunch. So, perfect start. We hit the perfect card with Grief, because that top was going to become a problem. And our opponent just concedes the game. So, Fleshraker Shops, I can't imagine is particularly exciting for us. I think we want these cards. And then, do we want some Feed the Swarms just to fight... Does Norrod actually do anything against Fleshraker? I mean, it beats up on top. I think we want some Feed the Swarms, because I would like to kill their creatures. Because they have got Scrolling Crawler and the other fucker that was in play just now. So I think maybe 5 cards can come in. The Cabal Pit looks acceptable. We'll drop a Bayou for the Wasteland. And then I'll drop a Bloodghast. I think Bloodghast is going to be quite a consistent drop. Hogaak is slow, so I'm going to trim one of those. Moonshadows can't be sideboarded out. Those are the rules. One Therapy? I think we're just going to trim, to be honest with you, team. And one Stitcher Supplier. I don't love trimming Therapy, but it is less consistent than Grief. And now we're still on 18 lands. We've got 2 rods and 2 kill spells. This doesn't hit Planeswalkers. It'd be sick if it did, because that would actually be like a real card then. I can't imagine this matchup is particularly fantastic for us on the draw. We've got no Vigors. We've got no Mind Breaks. We've got no Sickening Shoals. You know, I mean, you can blame me for that list of cards I don't have. I will not accept any blame, but you can try to allege. So, game 2, on the drizzle, we haven't got Bazaar of Baghdad. We've got both of our kill spells, which I don't think is particularly exciting. What does this hand do? It plays a Stitcher Supplier, then it kills their creature, then it hard casts a Poxwalkers if we draw a land. I feel like we have to go somewhere else with this. Right, Bazaar of Baghdad, Double Vine. Keep this, rip the powder. Bazaar of Baghdad, Double Vine, turn 2 Null Rod. That's like the dream, right? Assuming we hit off the Bazaar. That's a Mishra's Workshop. 3 of the mana. None of the mana. 3 of the mana. Sensei's top. Okay, so top into play. And a Sphere of Resistance. Sphere of Resistance is a bit upsetting. I think we'll still activate, though. Grief Therapy. Vengevine, Vengevine. So let's go Vengevine, Vengevine, Powder. Now, opponent can have a One Ring here, which would be quite problematic for us. They can't have a One Ring here because Saga doesn't produce enough mana under the ring, under the sphere, but they do get to have a cheeky look with Sensei's top. So, I can't make a Null Rod, because I, again, don't have the mana to do it. One thing that's interesting about Urborg here is it will turn on their Mishra's Workshop to produce other things. If we rip a hollow one, we get to just, solidly 8 them, which would be tasty. 8 them and Grief them. I think that would be sick. So opponent completes their top activation and just sends it back. They just are not doing anything. Hogaak. A Gak full of hose. I can't produce green mana. I think I will activate the Bazaar of Baghdad. Oh, this was a horrendous activation. Right, so let's get rid of the Gak, the Therapy, and the Rod. And then we can Grief them off, Feed the Swarm to interact. And then next turn, if we top deck a land, we can produce double lizard. I'm not too convinced with how we've played this, but that's how we've played this. So, Grief You, Fleshraker, Tezzeret, Sphere. I'm not excited about any of that. I think I am like contractually obliged to take that Sphere of Resistance though. So that's what I'm going to do. Now it's your go. This ticks up, and as we can see, they've got no clear avenue to... From what we saw, they don't have an avenue to making a Saga token. However, because I've played Urborg, 1 mana will make that work. So this is a 3 mana artifact here. Stonecoil Serpent for 3. Okay, that's incredibly weak. We do play a lot of lands. We do draw a land. So that's fantastic news. So let's play our land. Activate our Bazaar of Baghdad. Hit a hollow one, which comes in for free. And then we can play... We can cast both of these lizards. So I'd like to cast that. I'd like to pay 1. I'd like to cast this. I'd like to pay 1, not losing a life. Thank you. 2 Vengevines come into play. Yep. Yep. And now we can not cast Hogaak because of the additional payment, right? Or can I delve through that? I can delve through that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to cast the hollow one first. Cast hollow one. I think I can delve through this. We're going to give it a go. Pay GG1, yeah. Hogaak's in, through the sphere, attack for 8, you're dead next turn. Good luck. Oh, they've got double top. They've got Fleshraker double top. So maybe I'm dead now. Maybe I was just 1 turn too slow. Produces a black mana. You need to produce colorless to cast a Fleshraker. Oh, I feel like that was a mistake, no? Because oh no, but they can't because a sphere resistance kills their combo. Okay, but what does Black Lotus do? Have they found a One Ring? No, 6, 7 mana. So 6 mana. One Ring. They have found a One Ring. It's not great for my combat damage deck. They've got 2 mana floating. They've overproduced mana by the looks, unless they've got another top. They've got Talon Gates, which doesn't actually do anything. They phase out a lizard, yeah, no one cares. They can't cast any of the 3 spells in their hand, because we know about them. They can have a cheeky look with top. Maybe find a Mox or something to develop into. But this Sphere of Resistance is killing this Raker. So they would have been able to kill this turn, right? Ding, 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 yeah. If they didn't have the sphere in play, they would have been able to produce colorless, tap with Talon Gates, tap with Urborg off of Workshop, and double top me. That's a pithing needle. No one gives a shit, mate. I've got 20 power in play. Well, I do. It is annoying, but, you know. Bazaar of Baghdad, yeah. I just need to survive next turn, which I think I'm in good stead to do, based on the fact that my opponent's got no good mana. We don't need to attack. They're under the ring. My opponent's got horrendous mana over there. They've got Sphere of Resistance in play, and they haven't got... I think they've just shuffled away their top, or they've just drawn their top now. So they just need to loop One Rings and then kill me. And we're just in the waiting room right now for the pop-up to say they've conceded. I think that's it. So, triple artifact mana makes a Sensei's top. They then draw cards, which is pretty wild on the sequence, no? Because don't you want to... I guess you do know the cards, but you do want to kind of dig for the ring, right? But they know their top 2, and that's all they were seeing. So, top. Yeah, that's fine. You take 20. Yeah, I agree. Deceased. Right. That was cool, though. We did the thing. Moonshadow shows up in game 1. We don't need to discuss too much about how I maybe used questionable sequencing to make Moonshadow do something, but it was fun. So, round 2. Okie dokie then. Round 2, we're up against Ravidel85, who has not revealed Allurus of the Dream Den. We've got like an interesting one, where we've got like turn 1, Moonshadow, turn 2, cast a lizard, strip you, blah blah blah, and a slow Hogaak, basically. I don't think this is good enough. I don't think Moonshadow is going to do the work we want it to do, so I'm going to mulligan. And now I've got nothing, so I'm going to powder. And what do I hide? I hide Wasteland for sure, right? But then I lose triple therapy. But now it looks like I'm on Dredge. Like combo Dredge, but... Wasteland, Grief, Lizard. No, this is where we just get wrecked, I think. This doesn't produce mana of a colour. This is a Bazaar, a Hollow One, a Poxwalkers, and a Vengevines. We'll keep this. We'll get rid of the powder. We'll get rid of the Polluted Delta. We'll get rid of the Wasteland. We'll keep all the friends. And we will cross our fingers, hope to die. First main phase, yeah, go there. So Ravidel 85 on a Bazaar of Baghdad strategy. So post board, we're going to have Ravenous Trap, Ravenous Trap, Ravenous Trap, Voidwalker, Voidwalker, Wasteland. They've got triple squeeze, so we actually might be a gamer here because we're going to be better at putting power into play. Hogaak, Arisen, Necropolis. Activate this. Lizard me harder. No, but we did get a second Bazaar. So we'll discard the creatures, obviously, and I am going to actually just pass. So we get Wastelanded, we then activate a Bazaar of Baghdad, we draw a card, we activate our Bazaar of Baghdad, we hit a black source, and then we get Vengevine, and then we're somewhere on our way to this Hogaak, which is going to be thick as fuck compared to what they can produce. They activate, we know they got triple squeeze, they've got all the cards in the world. We're never going to be confident that our land is going to be in play for more than a turn cycle, but drawing the second Bazaar meant we didn't have to develop the Hollow One. There's the strip mine. And then, have you found a creature? No, they're back down to 7 cards. There's another Hogaak. So we do just have to draw into a land or a lizard. We hit both of those things. We hit both of those things. How much do we care, though? Hogaak. I've got to discard lizard. I've got to discard Hogaak. After that, I can keep Hollow One or Stitcher Supplier. If Stitcher Supplier gets countered, which it's very likely that will happen because of reasons. If I don't cast Stitcher Supplier, it's quite a while until I can cast a Hogaak, right? Because of Lizard and... I'm playing the wrong lizards. Lizards and Hollow One not being black. So am I supposed to go Hollow One, Hogaak, Lizard? I do get a Poxwalker back. I'm going to try and push for the Stitcher Supplier and the Hogaak. We get a Poxwalker anyway, and we're locked to get a Vengevine. So we can cast the Gak next turn, but what we're trying to do is maximize the Gak this turn. So Poxwalkers is in, Blazing Lizard is in. I've made a land drop. I'm so fucking stupid. Unbelievable work. Okay, your go. I don't get the Vengevine. Oh my god. Alright, I might log off. What did they do to us? Oh, they picked up a Stitcher Supplier. They picked up a strip mine. Unbelievable work. Good grief. Right, we need to get over that one. But, in positive news, my Bazaar of Baghdad's dead. Yep, see you later, bye. If they have a Fury, I'm gonna weep, cry, and just drop from the league and start again. I'm not really. They're on 8 cards. We need this Poxwalker to untap. It's going to be very hard to get this guy to resolve, I think. They just got a powder. We top deck a Grief, which is not very good. So let's just cast Stitcher Supplier, hope it resolves. If it doesn't resolve, then we probably just start to lose. Oh, they let it in. We hit everything. Welcome back, Hogaak. Thanks for joining. Hollow One, Moonshadow, Lizard, Bazaar of Baghdad, I guess. Do I need Hogaaks on a loop? We might do. Okay. I get a Vengevine into play. I've got an 8/8 in play. And then we attack for 5. And let's all... Right, I want 0 comments about how many lands you're allowed to play in a turn. That was... I'm really struggling to get over how poorly I played that. Man. So what we'll do is we'll untap, play 2 lands, discard our threat, not get a Vengevine into play, and give our opponent an entire turn cycle where they can strip mine us again. A dream come true. Our opponent is somewhat struggling. They've kept a Squee in hand. So we know they found a Fury, they found another Bazaar of Baghdad, or they've got no other red cards, and this second Bazaar is digging to be a Fury, right? They've just conceded the game. So we got there. We tried to find the correct avenue for defeat, but I was unable to navigate my way there. So we're going to bring in 2 Douthies and 3 Rav Traps. The Rav Traps aren't fantastic. We probably want to feed the Swarm as well. That's 8 entire cards. That's quite a lot of cards. Therapy. This lizard thing is not acceptable. I just wanted to play 6, and then I'm going to tell you honestly, I had 3 and 3, but this one was the 10th edition version, the third one of this. And I thought, I'm sure they can deal with mismatching lizards for a day. And I thought, actually, no. We've overcome our mismatching issues, and maybe we should, make them match. So, where are we? We need 7 cuts. 7 is so many. Right, Bloodghast, Hogaak, Poxwalker. I'm bringing in a Wasteland, so I'm going to cut another land. Maybe an Urborg? No, Urborg for Douthie is too strong. Let's cut just one of the fetch lands. Delta's the first one I found, so that's 63. Don't want to cut much else. Maybe the therapies are nonsense, but they do help the Poxy boys. Ravenous Trap isn't fantastic, but it does have text. I'm just going to trim a couple of Griefs, I think. Sideboard mapping, not great. My plan for Squeevine, not considered in deck building. So, Ravenous Trap, Stitcher Supplier, Hollow One Therapy. Cabal Pit. This isn't very good, is it? Let's ship it. 2 Bazaars, 1 Bazaar, a Ravenous Trap, and a Moonshadow. Okay, I'm into this. If they've got Leyline, we can beat them with Moonshadow, right? Maybe leading on Stitcher Supplier, though. So I don't think we're a Bazaar of Baghdad hand here. I think we are develop a 1-drop hand. Opponent begins with 5 cards. No Leyline. So we've got a graveyard. They've got a Bazaar of Baghdad. They activate it. And let's see what they discard. They've got Vengevine, Master of Death. Okay. Oh, grief is really powerful. So let's fetch a Bayou, because we can cast our lizard maybe later. Let's cast a Moonshadow. And we're going to float this Wasteland. Because we're going to take their blue card here. No response, thank you. If they've got one. They've got Lizard, Lizard, Vengevine. Let's take a lizard then, I guess. Maybe floating was bad. Because now they're not going to have 3 cards into the graveyard and we're going to die to Triple Vine. Yeah, you got that. My Moonshadow grows. Maybe we've flown too close to the sun here. Opponent activates the Bazaar. Yeah, I think I'm... Yeah, double lizard. I fucked it up. So my trap's not alive. Okay. That was some very powerful drawing with Triple Vine. We're now in a spot where we need to kind of play Bazaar. My opponent's not got any cards in graveyard. We didn't register a Tabernacle today. This is going to be hard to come back from. I take 12. Eek. They don't ship the lizard. I go to 7. Okay. A lot of the problems we've come across in this match have been me as the problem. We've got our own Bazaar of Baghdad. We can activate this. And we can discard Vengevine, Lizard, Lizard, which is not quite as good as what our opponent achieved. Yeah, Moonshadow triggers. There's a 3/3, so we can start trading off with vines, wasting our opponent. Noxious on my thing. Okay, that's not great either. I will still cast these lizards to get to chumping. My Moonshadow will grow. I can't attack. So I can trade with a vine. What if I don't activate Wasteland and never play it against the Bazaar player? I'm glad we explored that. I'm glad we explored that avenue. I just wanted to do the thing, but my opponent did the thing better than me, so... No responses here. How much can I actually take? Am I just dead? I may just be dead. Squad in. So block, 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 take. I go to 1. They've got a hollow one as well. This seems insurmountable, if you ask me. That's a Vengevine. And another Bazaar, but I'm going to concede because I don't want to show them graveyard hate cards. Okay. Right. A self-induced defeat. I could have just wasted them and they would have been sat around for 5 turns. Do I want grief on the play? No, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I'm not happy with how we're playing. This has been some of the most suspicious gameplay I think I'm ever going to publish. But hey-ho. Okay, game 3. Let's see if we can like make one reasonable play in this round. We're going to powder. So I've made one. Double Bazaar. Triple Bazaar. Woohoo. Let's keep this then. And hopefully our opponent plays reasonably and comes along with such classics as Wasteland Your Bazaar of Baghdad, which would buy us time. So, Lizard, feed. Maybe I just want to discard a Bazaar of Baghdad, actually. I know I'm supposed to discard Moonshadow, but you're not my dad. So there's a lizard. Opponent kept 7 though. That's not great for us. It's unlikely that they've got Force of Will in their deck at this point, because typically that goes out in the Bazaar matchup. There's their Bazaar. I'm not confident in this 5 power holding through the game. Lizard, Lizard, Master of Death. They might have their own hollow one here. They do. I mean, Shadow's really bad, isn't it, actually? Because nothing goes to my graveyard. So I can probably activate again. Moonshadow, Vengevine, feed the Swarm. Attack for 4. And opponent just takes it. Let's Wasteland you. And let's cast a Hollow one. I'm very susceptible to a Vigor here. Yeah. Oh no, they've got Noxious. They pick up Master of Death. Then they get another activation. We've got another Wasteland. Both of my Feed the Swarms have gone, although probably should I just only bring in 2? Yeah, I only brought in 2. So this Leyline's just there in perpetuity now. They've got a Wasteland for my Bazaar of Baghdad. We've got the other Bazaar of Baghdad slow rolled. But we're pretty chill at the moment. We know they're holding Master of Death, Bazaar of Baghdad. I'll play that land. I'll attack for 8. So Master of Death, Bazaar of Baghdad. So we know they need another. It needs to be exactly green card Vigor for them to have anything relevant. They go to 9. They don't have the Vigor. We trade off the hollows. And this Verdant can sit in play because I can get a buy later and start pumping my Lizard, which is a privilege they don't have. So Master of Death, Bazaar, 2 mystery cards is what they started with. Vengevine, Master, Powder. We're going to waste them. I'm going to leave that Verdant as it is. I don't need to fetch right now. Draw Badlands. That'll be great next turn, because we'll be able to use that to fetch with, to pump with. They're on chump blocking mode, which is good for our health and continued gaming. But we've learnt our lesson from game 2, and Wastelands get activated. Cool. We've done that. Opponent picks up a Master of Death. They go to 8. And they have no plays. And we have Fetch Bayou, Pump a Lizard. Draw step. Douthie Voidwalker's pretty fucked as well, though, isn't it? I think casting Douthie Voidwalker is way better, but I am allowed to attack with my Lizard at least. Is it even that good? Right, that Lizard gets in the way. I'm just going to deal damage and I'm going to play a Douthie, because that's going to kind of inhibit on their plan, although they do have a Vengevine in the bin already. But this guy's got Shadow, to be honest with you. And they concede the match. Okay, so
One of those rounds where you feel like you won it 3-0, but you only won it 2-1, and you gave your opponent fantastic outs to win. Again, towards the end there, you've got the mana aspect of these Mana Bazaar decks showing up, where you can play through a ley line quite comfortably. Not comfortably, but nicely. You know, we did definitely lose some shit on the way through, right? We lost Feed the Swarm, 2 Vengevines. But when we play these mana decks, we do have game through leyline. Yeah, let's see if we can improve our play, though, going into the next 3 rounds. Okay, round 3, we're up against OD on the draw. They've powdered. They're on Dredge with Mindbreak Trap in the main. 2 Creeping Chills gone, which is great for the late game if we get to it. Typically, we're underpowered against Dredge in these Vine decks, game 1. I'm a bit skimpy on Hate, game 2, but hey-ho. But the Mindbreak Traps typically, historically, means that there's no ghouls, but we'll see. I'm going to keep this hand, though. I've got Bazaar, I've got Double Strip, if they don't go too hammy. We did learn some lessons last round, so where we're on the draw, another disadvantage, because they are going to get their activation off. Opponent's on 5. Okay, so this could be a really high value wasteland, because they have gone to 5. What have they got going on? They have got ghouls and Mindbreak Traps. I don't know where that space has come from, but... Oh no, they don't play Noxious, of course. Oh, they don't play Noxious, and I've got double Wasteland. Imp, Ghoul, Ghoul. Grief me. Yeah, buddy. Non-land. Read it and weep. So they've got 1 card in hand. They don't play main deck Noxious. They've got a Dredge of 5, and that is all. Dredge 5 is very powerful, don't get me wrong, but the 2 ghouls are pretty weak when 2 chills are in exile. You can take whatever you want. They're all going to get their emit eventually. Yeah, I think that's the best one to take. It's that or Hogaak, I think. But this at least interacts with my Vengevine plan, right? Our turn is scripted. Play a Wasteland and Wasteland you. Now we pass the turn into a Dredge 5, and hopefully that final card in hand is not a second Bazaar of Baghdad. Otherwise, that's going to kill us. Opponent has got 1 look at 5 cards, as we currently know. 5 is the best they can have, other than the restricted 6. And they miss on Dredgers, they do hit an Icarid. They miss on Bazaar of Baghdad, and we are really quite far ahead here. So we can play our Bazaar and activate it. We can hit definitely Poxwalkers. What do we want to name on there? I don't want to name Stinkweed, but that's for sure. They don't have Noxious Revival. They can't have Grief. We know about that. What are we even afraid of when we go to therapy them? Nothing, really. But let's just go Vine, Therapy, Pox for now. We'll get in our 1 point of damage. I don't know what they can have that I'm going to be scared of game 1. They milled a Bazaar of Baghdad. We know they're holding Stinkweed Imp, and we're absolutely not naming Stinkweed Imp. Grief is the only other card they can have. Maybe they can have a Force of Will, Force of Negation. Let's go Force of Will, because that's the only thing that's ever going to come up as relevant, right? Oh no, my game just hates this text box. Force of Will. Oh, I am quite the typer. So let's just name Force of... I can't come up with anything that's ever going to be relevant from them. They did have a Force of Will, so taste it. And now they're on draw steps. They've been through 2 Bazaars. They've got no Dredgers. They can pick up this Icarid and 3 me. Oh, they're going to. Okay, ouch, ouch. I'm at 17. No, I guess they've got like quite a bit of damage in the graveyard here, but it's not going to work. They're going to die too quickly. We get a Moonshadow into play. That's going to make a Hogaak and a Vengevine, I think. Let's get basic Swamp. Cast Moonshadow. Activate the Bazaar. Discard Powder, Powder, and Gak is fine, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Gak is fine. Moonshadow gets smaller. Gak comes in. Vengevine comes in. Hollow One comes in. Opponent submits. Excellent. In for 4. Sweet dreams. Game 2. I will block. Cool. Sideboarding time. And this is where my suspicious sideboarding plan comes into play. I've got a lot of nonsense. So, Dalthies and traps for sure. The traps are a lot better here. Wasteland for sure. And then, so we bring in a lot of hate and we bring in 2 bits of like anti-hate, I guess. Bloodghast, Poxy Boys, Therapies. Gak's actually pretty thick. I don't think the Griefs are great. I think the Fetchland can go again. 62. Another Therapy. Yeah, another Therapy and another Grief. Maybe not that. Maybe just Grief. Something like this. But 5 hate pieces in a Wasteland, and then a piece of anti-hate. Here we've got turn 1 Vengevine, so we're going to keep it. If they've got Leyline, they've got Leyline. But I think they might be a Ravenous Trap gamer these days. I'm not sure. They've got Bazaar of Baghdad. We don't have a Wasteland to answer that with. Wrong window. There we go. So Graveyard for the opponent here. Wow, that's a good start. Double Icarid, Shambling Shell. We get Stitch of Supply, which I'm not interested in. I'm interested in bodies in play. I'd love to hit one of my 3 traps here. Do not. Lizard Vine. Noxious is pretty toxic. Double Icarid Shambling Shell is kind of tough as well. Kind of tells us they don't have any good dredges, though. They hit a Stinkweed Imp off the Dredge 3 and a Narcomoeba. Oh, wait, how did that Narcomoeba get that? Oh, there's the triggered abilities, sorry. So yeah, this is just... And they do have Leylines in their deck, so our Feed the Swarms are livid and live. But this start of double Icarid Amalgam is going to be a bit much for us to overcome. Because they've already got the bodies in play. And we didn't have the Ravenous Trap in time. And the Dalthy Voidwalkers are slow as shit. So I think my sideboard's bad. I'll tell you that for free. But we're going to take 7 here. Then they're going to dredge 5 off this Stinkweed Imp. Hit another Narc. The Amalgam was already on its way in. They've got another Icarid. Main phase. No additional Bazaar of Baghdad, which is dope. I'm just going to take my medicine and take 6, I think. Yeah, I'm going to hold blocking for later turns. And a bunch of triggers happen. So, there's a Vengevine on top of our deck, which we're going to draw for the turn. Then we get to play, we get to fetch Stitcher's Supplier. Probably for Bayou. I think I want to do that first. Grab a Bayou, right? No, Badlands, because that can trade with an Amalgam then. Let's cast a Stitcher's Supplier. Tripperid is difficult though. Stitcher's Supplier happens. We hit nothing good. Activate this then. And again hit nothing good. Okay. So let's go Vengevine Therapy. Yeah, I think that matters. And then we can therapy them. What would we name on a therapy them? I don't think there's anything that's too important at this stage in the game for us to therapy. We don't have any poxwalkers to bring into play. We do have a wasteland going forwards. We take a lot of damage this turn though, at least 5 plus any chills that are discovered on the way through. But we haven't drawn our hate, and our hate suite is not incredible. So the Ichorids are going to get in. They seem to be struggling on the dredges slightly, I think. Okay, there are we found the creeping chills. There they are. There they are. And that kills us, right? Block, 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 take 5, and I'm at 4. Yeah, 4 is less than 5. Cool. Okay, then. Creeping Chill in a clump. Poorly randomized deck by the opponent. Do we want Griefs? No. Do we want Leylines? Leyline Hate? No. I think I like roughly what we're doing. I think maybe I'll bring in like a Feed the Swarm. They did demonstrate Leyline presence there. We've got nothing to write home about, so we'll mulligan. Right, Douthie Voidwalker, but no avenue to it. Feed the Swarm. I'm going to get rid of the Therapy. I don't want to see the Leyline here, buddy. Don't tell me. No, okay. Rip. Fine. We'll just play Bazaar of Baghdad. And we'll activate it, because we want to find a Ravenous Trap. We do find a Ravenous Trap and 2 Lizards. So let's go Trap, Trap. Lizard, Lizard, Gak, I think. So we've got 2 creatures in play. We've got Ravenous Trap. We've got 3 Urborgs in our deck that can get us to Feed the Swarm Douthie. And we've got a Wasteland here for their Bazaar of Baghdad. So I think we've actually got some game. It's going to be one of those games where we don't get griefed straight away. And we get a good Ravenous Trap off. Not like a Ravenous Trap now, like a Ravenous Trap with a huge stack. I didn't really pay attention to see if they had blue cards last game. Creeping Chill, Ghoul, Thug. And no grief. Exactly what we wanted. Five cards left over for the opponent. There's the Urborg. There's the Urborg. Wasteland or Urborg? I think we Wasteland. And just send. And then attack for 2. Try to get this stack. And then we've got next turn Douthie into... Next turn we've got Douthie into Feed the Swarm in the future to get this Bazaar of Baghdad going again. But all our cards are great, so we're not activating. Opponent does have the Noxious, which is devastating news for the home team. But this is going to be Dredge Step the Thug into a big activation, and then that's probably what we're going to be trapping. Okay, so they just took the draw step, obviously, because the Bazaar's on top. Because don't worry, I've not played much Dredge, so they do have Force of Wills in their deck. Interesting stuff. So there's a Narcomoeba trigger. I'm going to trap them here. We hope they don't have Force of Will. They don't have Force of Will. Showers for your turn. And then it's to us. And we know they don't have Force of Will in hand. So we get to play a Douthie Voidwalker. They could have Sickening Shoal. Then we get Feed the Swarm to kill their Leyline with. They're at 14. And they're on draw steps. with no access to a graveyard. 4 cards in hand on the other side of the table. And they activate. So here come the void cards. And what's super sick here is I can feed the swarm their leyline and then cast a leyline off my Dalthi. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave the Dalthi in play. Icarid Amalgam Ghoul, 3 cards, another Bazaar of Baghdad. Bazaar's not too much of a threat here, I don't think. 2 cards in hand, though. And another Ravenous Trap. Okay, so let's go feed the swarm on your guy. That Ravenous Trap draw is actually sick. And I'm just going to attack for 5. I'm not too fussed. If they've got Sickening Shoal into dump and run, we've just drawn the trap to close the game. They don't appear to have Sickening Shoal, so I expect it would have spoken up by now. I would expect it to show up before that damage goes through. So just 2 Bazaars. They're only 1 Bazaar away from casting a Stinkweed Imp because of Urborg. That is unlikely to be like their primary game plan at this stage. So they can activate Bazaars and look for Sickening Shoals as we move on through this game. They discard Creeping Chill, Icarid, Serum Powder. It's a shame. It's not none of it's a shame, but there is a funny line where we get to Creeping Chill you, you know. Let's attack for 5. And then we'll cast a Moonshadow. Because it's huge. You go to 4. And now Moonshadow will mean that with an activation, even if our Dalthi dies, the activation on Bazaar of Baghdad is lethal. Three cards in the opponent's hand. Up to 5, down to 2. I think that just means they're dead, because they need to use 2 cards to kill Dalthi and then activate a Bazaar of Baghdad and get somewhere, which is really tough. They find a hollow one, which doesn't do enough. Now they activate a Bazaar of Baghdad again. But Menace and Shadow is pretty powerful, and our opponent is dead. Nice. Completely hellbent. Not enough life points. Should we flashback Creeping Chill? Let's do that. And then go to combat and menace our way through. Nice. Combat damage. Defeated. 3-0 with our mono black Moonshadow deck. Obviously, when you've got a Dalthi Voidwalker in play and your draw steps for the rest of the game, it's just mono Ravenous Traps against Dredge. You're in a great spot. But that was fun. Let's go to the next round. Okay, then round 4, we're up against Kenzaburo. We're on the play, which is pretty cool. And our opponent has registered 60 cards. Okay, and our first Lurus gamer of the day. So we're going to keep this hand. I think we're just going to send a Bazaar of Baghdad down their throat to start with. So just try and get something going on with this hand. We do find a Grief. Let's discard Hogaak, Bazaar Urborg. Maybe just Hogaak. No, I'm going to pitch a Hogaak. Hogaak, Bazaar, Urborg. Am I going to pitch a Hogaak? Or am I going to look for a Vine next turn? Maybe I'm going to look for a Vine next turn, so maybe I'm just going to chill, actually. We're going to get Wastelanded. And then... yeah. Polluted Delta. So if they've got a Mox here, then we can lead on Grief. Oh, Emerald is interesting. To flush out the Bowmaster, but they might just play the Bowmaster. Tundra, okay. So doing something a bit different. Time Walk. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's normal Froggy style Lurrus. It could be like a Gifts deck. What plays Emerald? Thunder Trap Trainer. Show me your secrets. Into Stock Up. Into Saga. Well, I hate everything that's happened. I'm not going to lie to you. Moonshadow. Doesn't seem good enough right now. Let's go Verdant. Fetch a card. Urborg would have been way better this turn. Let's fetch a Badlands, I guess. I don't think I'm getting wasted by this opponent. And let's cast a Stitch of Supplier. See what we hit. We do hit a Vengevine, so we're going to get a Vine in this turn. Let's activate the Bazaar then. Discard Lizard, Lizard, something else. Lizard, Lizard, Gak, I guess. So the Vine's going to come in. That's going to make a Hogaak. Then we're going to Grief them post Hogaak, I think. I think we're going to try and cast Hogaak first. Because we'd rather have the Grief Resolve. And I'm going to tap all my creatures. Because that's going to give me more Gak food later. So Force of Will, which is cool. Kind of as planned. And then we're going to Grief them. Force of Will pitching the stock up that we saw last turn. Now we get to Grief them. I feel like I've messed up a bit. I feel like, I don't know. I've got 2 Hogaaks in my graveyard and I've got a Moonshadow in exile, which seems wrong. I've got Flame of Anor and Force of Will. We'll take Flame of Anor then. And we don't have the ability to cast a Hogaak this turn. We will be able to do that next turn. They've got Force of Will, Misty Rainforest, and they're going to be able to make Saga tokens. And then they're going to be able to nuke our graveyard at some point. But let's just cast this Stitch of Supplier. Then activate 2 Bazaars. And then cast a Hogaak. Oh, we can also get rid of their Force of Will first. That's quite cool. So let's activate Bazaar of Baghdad. Discarding Lizard Therapy. So we need to not respond to this. We need to respond to this activation with the Lizard, because then if we hit another Vengevine, it would come off of the cast. So cast this. Cast this. I am going to trade 1 Stitch of Supplier for the Therapy. Getting Force of Will, which we know about. Okay. And they've got a Gitaxian Probe, which will also take in a second, but we'll first of all see if we've got anything in there. No. So let's go Hogaak off of Grief and some nonsense. We'll leave the cards that like the graveyard are behind. This card and this card makes a Hogaak. Modo doesn't like Hogaak. And now I want to Therapy your Gitaxian Probe off of my Red Lizard. Gitaxian Probe. And now I've got a lot of power and toughness in play. I think I just send squad here. I don't think I care about my lizards. Oh no, I can't because of the 2/2 that they can make and just eat both for free. So that's a really bad attack. They make a token. It's a 2/2. They might put these guys all in the way. I don't really care. They get a volcanic island. Is it a double block that we line up? No, they take it all. Now they've got Lurus of the Dream Den to buy, cast, make a bauble. They've had one blind look, but they look to be going for a token. And I imagine that's going to be like Vexing Bauble or Soul Guide Lantern coming out of them. They can't get Portable Hole. They get Soul Guide Lantern, which eats my Bloodghast and my second Gak, but I think our graveyard's empty enough that we don't really care. So they do get the Bloodghast. They play a Mox Jet from hand. So they're 5/5s. They're pretty thick. But I'm pretty happy just to send here, I think. Is that really bad, just shipping everyone in? So, like, if I attack with everyone, then I lose a Vengevine. I could just send a Hogaak, but I feel like I'm getting a bit too slow at that point. So if I was to send with everyone, it would be 3, 4, 5, 6. I think, but then how much am I taking on the way back through? Quite a lot. Then I might be able to, yeah, I think I'm going to send like this. Maybe the Stitcher Supplier attack's really bad. That's going to get in the way of this. This is going to go here. And that one there. Cool. I will pump a lizard. Combat damage. And now we're just going to send a bunch of shit at them for the purposes of getting them to crack this bauble here. So let's activate Bazaar of Baghdad. We hit a Poxwalker. Let's activate Bazaar of Baghdad. We hit another Poxwalker. So this should just completely nuke their board. Because if they activate this bauble, there's a cascading effect of death to tokens. If they don't activate this bauble, these two Poxwalkers are coming into play. This Soul Guide. Good night tokens. Sure, I only get a 1/1, and they have got a draw step to give, but they're exceptionally dead on board. And our questionable attack resulted in the death of 10 power. Ancestral Recall. Why do people top deck this card every time? Every single time. Just draw 3 lands for a change. But no, it's going to be Mox Opal into PO for 4, isn't it? Academy. What is happening to me? Lurus. Cast Lurus, play Soul Guide. Okay. Plays the bauble, so that means they don't have a plow. They bauble themselves. They're at 5. They're an effective 8. Is my Bayou gone? No. Which means I can Upkeep, fetch, activate, activate. Nothing good came of that. Vengevine. I'm going to attack with everything. Now I've got pumps on lizards. Swords to plowshares is just utterly devastating. Lurus there. Thunder Trap there. This looks like a man who's drawn plow. So I'm going to opt to trade for Lurus, right? They've got 2 cards in hand. One of them has to be a plow for this block to work. Okay, they're chumping. So then I kill your Thunder Trap instead. Because you're still dead, right? Is that true? You take 6, 7, 8. So you're still dead, so I can eat your Thunder Trap. And then they die. Right? Exactly 0? Yeah, perfect. I counted, guys. I counted correctly. So, we're up against PO. I would like some of these guys. And that's that. Paradoxical outcome. Do I want this as well? And then like Bloodghast, Poxy Boys, one of the Gaks possibly, none of the Moonshadows, obviously. One fetch land has been persistently getting trimmed. Maybe actually the lands are really good if I'm trying to actually cast a 2-mana spell for a change. One therapy. Why not? Why not? Okay, so that all looks cool. That went well. If you ignore the ancestral top deck, like a hellbent opponent with no fucking board, and we've just nuked it, and then they're like, "Hey, look at my draw 3 for 1 mana." I don't need, you know, that much of a sweat for round 4 of a league. Okay, game 2 against Kenzaburo. Our hand is bad. Our powder is good. Whoop. Yeah, our powder's dope. Look at that guy. Cool. Keep this. Moonshadow into Vine or just Moonshadow into Bazaar or just Bazaar of Baghdad? Tundra. Soul Guide Lantern. I guess Moonshadow to start then. Multiple Moonshadows. Talk to me. Multiple Moonshadows? And then we can go Moonshadow Bazaar, activate, hold a vine, pitch a lizard. They know about the 2 vines. Orcs. And Prismatic Ending on our Moonshine. We've got another Moonshine though. Ooh, therapy. Let's just go Moonshadow. And I will play the Bazaar because I am interested in them pitching their thing. Powder, Vine, Bayou, I guess? Maybe Therapy. I think Bayou. So opponent has got 6 cards in hand. They deploy a Mox Emerald. And they play another Soul Guide Lantern. Okay, so we know what we're doing this game, right? We know how this is going. And they've got Plowshares for that guy as well. Okay, so we are in deep trouble. Nullrod. Do I just want to jam a Nullrod down at them? Or do I want to play Therapy first? I think I want to Therapy you. No, I think I'm supposed to just jam. Let's get Badlands out then. And just throw Norrod at our opponent and hope they don't have Force of Will. They have to have Force of Will. This is stupid. I'm supposed to Therapy Force. Yeah, they have to have Force of Will. They've made no land drops. They've done nothing relevant to the whole game. They have to have Force of Will. That was really bad. Let's ship this then. Poxwalkers, Therapy Lizard. That was horrific. That had to be Therapy. Like, they can't have anything else, right? There's no... They've missed a land drop. They've not played any Moxen. They've gone Lantern. They just... That was awful. We know they're holding Force of Will there. We have got them down to just 2 cards. Obviously, the card they just drew is going to be Ancestral Recall. But that was really quite problematic as a bunch of game actions. But we can go Shadow again. We can then activate our Bazaar of Baghdad and attack for 3. Is our opponent getting bored of Moonshadows? They're going to fight a Moonshadow. We'll activate the Bazaar. An opponent has got costs to pay. They're going to play a Dress down. Okay, I'll pump my Lizard right now. And we'll discard Vine. I'm gonna do this because Stitcher Supplier can rebuild next turn. So we'll cast this. They'll pop their Soul Guide. These guys trigger. The Soul Guide's gonna go. We get in for 3, and then the Stitcher Supplier and the Bazaar activation next turn will help the rebuild. Opponent still only has 2 mana in play, 3 mana in play now. Stock up's not fabulous for us, if we're honest with ourselves. But we've survived like 2 removal spells, a terrible Force of Will that we ran into, and 2 Soul Guide Lanterns so far. And our opponent's about to start taking like actual factual damage. So we will take a draw step. That's a Poxwalkers. I'm going to play a Stitcher Supplier. No, I'm going to activate Bazaar of Baghdad first. Grief, Pox. Well, I can only keep 1 card, so I'm going to keep the Stitcher Supplier. Because that can hit Therapy. And tapping the Pit because I can pump for 3. We don't hit a Therapy. We don't hit anything. We do get in for 7 though, so they are dying somewhat quickly here. But obviously, they've just cast a stock up, and that's where things can start to go wrong. They've got 4 cards in hand after their draw step on this turn. And let's see what they come with. They come with Ancestral Recall. So 6 cards in hand. And Urza's Saga. This has to be backed up by Time Walk, though, because otherwise it's just too slow. They are dead on board. Tabernacle would probably not save them because the Moonshadow is going to be so big. Brainstorm. So let's use all of the blue mana that we know about, and they are so dead. Nice Soul Guide. Horrific play on the Null-Rod. The way they played demonstrated that they have no lands, no Moxen, nothing massively proactive. And we're holding the discard spell. So that was a very easy Therapy U naming Force of Will with the intention of untapping, surviving a turn untapping, and then rodding them, right? So I think we misplayed there because they've kind of revealed their hand at that point to be Force, blue card, and then you've got realistic things that you can put in their hand, like So no land, no Moxen, but you can realistically put Force of Will, PO, stock up. They had a Thunder Trap trainer, right, which is tougher to find, but like in Exile they had a Thunder Trap trainer from the Force of Will. So maybe that was just their blue card alongside stock up, and they're like, I need a land, and then I get to cast stock up, which is bigger and better. So I think that was a really big mistake, which could have cost us. And like right here in this spot, sure, I've got lethal on board, and we do win. But when they go stock up into Ancestral Brainstorm, after we had a very clear avenue to locking them down, we gave them far too many chances. Sorry, I'm just a bit annoyed about that play at myself. So that's why I'm rambling about it. Right, anyway, round 5. Okay, round 5, we're up against Whispering, so be quiet. Be quiet for our opponent. Right, we are on the play with our Gackathon with Moonshadow. Oppo has a Lurus. I've got a Hollow One Agree for Bazaar. Oh boy, hold me. We are going places. So, Fire Truck starts. Bazaar of Baghdad. Shocking. Nobody involved. Vengevines? 2 of them? None of them. Rip. So, Therapy, Lizard, and I guess Therapy actually, right? Because I'm going to pitch this Stitcher because I haven't got anywhere else to go. So, Therapy, Lizard. No responsey. And because I don't have a good clock, and because we don't know what flavour of Lurus of the Dream Den they're on, I am going to lead Grief, if allowed. So, cast Blazing Lizard. I am going to lead Grief because I want my Hollow One to get through because I've not got a very good clock, and if they waste me, I lose. So, yeah, let's cast a Grief to try and clear a path for the Hollow One. They've got a Lurus of the Dream Den hanging out over there. This is Force of Will pitching One Tong. So I think it's blue-black. So Wastelands, Frogs, all that shit are online. This is a Hollow One. And they've got a Mind Break Trap in the deck. Holy fuck balls. We are dead. Imagine having One Tong and not pitching Mind Break Trap. Tundra. Moxjet. Lion Sash. What's going on? Is this just a BPK alt account? Let's activate the Bazaar. Stitcher Supplier, Hogaak. I'm just going to ditch those cards. Don't care. Waste you. And in for 1. Happy to trade. Happy to trade. They've got a Graveyard Hate piece in play. And so Moxjet, Lion Sash. The ultimate combination. They've got a Wasteland for my Bazaar of Baghdad. I believe that's game. Which might be the first game 1 we've lost. In we go. Crunch, crunch. We need to find another Bazaar, or we need to start drawing mana sources. And then Stitcher Suppliers and stuff. They cycle a Lorwyn Revealed. They fetch themselves a Tundra, I presume. That's the wrong zone. That's a Tundra. That's going to eat a permanent, and that's going to kill me. Because then they'll have a 2-2, and I'll have a 1-1. And that's quite a large disparity of power. This Tundra is going to die, though. But if all they've got to do is tutor Tundra, make a 2-2, I'm pretty into that as a game. Another Serum Powder. There are things I want in life, and it's not more Serum Powders. So, I can't attack. We did deal them 3 points of damage though, so that is 2 points of damage because they force support. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. We're 10 cards deep into our deck, and we have produced 1 power and no lands. So I think that tells you a lot about how good our deck is. Opponent finds the other Tundra organically, which is depressing. Now they're just eating shit and achieving nothing. And yeah, let's get aggro with it. Serum powder number 3. Ding, ding, ding. I do not want to feed you black mana. I might want to in the future, but not right now. Mind Break Trap. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're dead. I don't care. Let's get out of here. So, Mind Break Trap, One Tong. Lion Sash in the main. I don't know who hurt you. I think I want some Knight of Infamies, though. I think they look fun. Just as an annoying card, which they can't kill. And a couple of Feed the Swarms. Just a bit of a hedge and a chill. Can we sort this by something more reasonable? Sort by rarity. Yeah, that looks better. I don't think we need Null Rod. Feed the Swarm seems fine. Let's drop a Gak, drop a Pox, drop a Therapy, drop a Therapy. So we've got like a Resilient Threat, a Feed the Swarm, and some removal basically. I don't think we need Null Rod. I don't think we need Null Rod at all. Yeah. Okay, so game 2, we're on the play again. Opponent reveals a cat, I presume. Yeah, reveals a Lurus. We powder. And now we keep this. And I guess we just turn 1 a Stitcher Supplier. Maybe it was supposed to be Moonshadow, actually. But we did hit another Vine. So they might have turn 1 Soul Guide Lantern, which would be a shame. They don't. They've got nothing. They've got absolute airbags. And they're dead. Moonshadow? Ancestral. As if I give a fuck. I've got 3 Vengevines, buddy. And the Ancestral. If I hit a Lizard here, it'd be phenomenal. I don't hit a Lizard. I do hit a Therapy, though. So Moonshadow pops off a little bit. Let's cast Grief, get our 12 power into play. They've got Ravenous Trap, I'll be sad. They force of will the Grief. Sure, whatever. Yes, yes, yes. In for 13. And then Therapy U, naming what, Time Walk or Demonic? I guess Demonic. And I can keep 2 of my dudes in play anyway next turn, so there's an argument of do we want to... I'm just going to name Time Walk. We've got Time Walk, One Tong, Lavinia, Plow, Lavinia. Okay. All nonsense. Absolutely wrecked them. Okay, so Final game. And I think we like where we're at. So Time Walker, I just think it's one of the two cards that can actually damage us and make life difficult. But yeah. The other card there that makes it an issue, though, is Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, which we kind of do and don't care about, right? Like, Tabernacle, I've got the Urborg in play, so I get to pay for 2 of my 4-power creatures. So they're still going to die if they play Tab. They need to come up with, like, a lot more than Tab. So Time Walk into Tab is a way that they can really come up with something useful. Like, Time Walk, Mox, Time Walk, Tab, Wasteland, your Urborg nukes me. So I'm actually thinking about this. Maybe I'm supposed to keep the hollow one and hit Time Walk, I think is the play. Okay, we've got Bazaar. We're going to keep this. We are on the draw. We do have Knight of Infamy, which is funny. We do have Stitch of Supply and Knight of Infamy. Hogaak pretty quickly. And that's through a Bazaar of Baghdad as well. So that means we can beat Pithing Needle here. Ooh, Tundra Lotus is pretty challenging. But no plays. So this looks like a One-Chi Tong or a Mindbreak Trap. They mulligan to 6. Could be end step One-Chi Tong. Could be Plow. That Grief is very interesting to me, but I really want the Hogaak. I need the Hogaak. So let's just get Swamp, actually, because they have demonstrated good cards. Wasteland, sorry. So there's a Feed the Swarm. Do I want to grief them or just want to go Knight of Infamy, Hogaak? I think I just want to go Knight, Hogaak. This might not survive. I don't think I care. Do you have anything to do with your Lotus mana this turn, or is it just in play out of the way? Because if I draw a black card next turn, then I can grief into Gak. Lavinia would be a problem here. Wasteland is not a problem because I fetched a basic swamp. They could definitely have Plow. I would love to draw a black card. They didn't play Lurus, which is proper suspicious. Let's grief you pitching Poxwalkers then. White, white. Containment Priest. Do not care. But Priest makes sense, right? Based on how slowly they've played. Force of Will, Lorwyn revealed. So let's take Lorwyn revealed. Grief dies. They can't do anything about my graveyard right now. Let's fetch our Bayou or our Badlands, whichever one appears first. Let's get Badlands. Oh no, Bayou, because they're holding a Wasteland. Let's cast Knight of Infamy. And then let's cast a Hogaak through a Priest, through a Force of Will, through Wasteland Lotus. And let's see if they've got anything to say about that. Because they are well on their way to death right now. I think I might actually just play around an errant Surgical here. They're holding Force of Will. They can draw Lurus and play Lurus. They could have done that last turn and had Containment Priest up. So they missed the Lurus last turn. And they're holding Force of Will and 1. They top deck stock up. These fuckers with their top decks, man. Insane sometimes. Insane, their top decks. So someone has started drilling in my block, so I apologise if you can hear it. I don't think you can. It keeps seeming to be quiet, but anyway, the kids keep ripping cards, and I hate it. They've got a strip mine. Probably going after the swamp here, I guess. Leaving the bayou behind. Yeah, because I think they're going to wasteland me next turn. 2 cards left over. One of them's a Force of Will. And we draw Feed the Swarm. So I'm actually just going to attack Squad, I think. Because this is a clock, right? Attack with the Squad. They just take it. They don't even block the Stitcher. Do I want to play anything? Do I want to play any cards in this position? Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale is an issue, so I could play Urborg, but then they just waste it and tab me anyway. I could just kill Containment Priest, but I kind of want to kill Lurrus next turn. They've got Force of Will in 1 card in hand. Maybe I just feed the Swarm their Containment Priest. Because now we've taxed the Wasteland. We've taxed the Lurrus, can't get back a Priest. We know they're holding Force of Will +1. And they're dead on board, right? And I've got a fucking pro-blue and pro-white in play. Supreme Verdict. Where does this guy get off? Good lord. Citrus Supplier happens. We hit another Hogaak. That is a Supreme Verdict? Really? What a terrible day to be me. Let's cast a Citrus Supplier then. They've got Force of Will for Citrus Supplier. So I just play and activate Bazaar of Baghdad. They've got no cards in hand. I hit a Lizard and a Moonshadow. Lizard doesn't bring a Poxwalker back, but at least it's 3 power. And another creature in the future makes an immediate Hogaak. Wow, Supreme Verdict. Incredible work. They need to buy Lurrus here, right? That's going to be what they're thinking. Oh no, they waste me. Did they draw a land? They did, fuck. I need a 1-drop, and I need it now. I don't even get Lurrus onto chump blocks. Moonshadow? Hollow one. I'm going to cycle it. I want a Wasteland. Moonshadow means Hogaak next turn. So let's get in for 1. Opponent's holding Lurrus to the Dream Den. They're at 6. They cast Lurrus, they play Lotus. And then they've got 1 card in hand. They probe me with life to see Moonshadow. They cast Lurrus. They cast Lotus. I draw a Wasteland. Cast Moonshadow. Cast Hogaak. Off of Bazaar, Supplier, Feed the Squad. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I've got an 8/8. And then I will Wasteland you, because that grows my shadow slightly. Opponent has 1 card in hand. And we have an 8/8 and 5 other power in play. Supreme Verdict. Unnecessary. The top deck Moonshadow coming in absolutely clutch here. Menace could be exciting as well. They crack Lotus. If you float a blue, I'm going to scream. They play a priest from the board. They play a Lavinia. They've got one card in hand. If it's Plowshares, then they're doing very well for themselves. If it's not Plowshares, they're in trouble. We can attack with absolutely everyone. I am willing to pump this lizard. Lure us in front of the Gak. The Gak tramples. I control 2 lands according to Lavinia. Lavinia in front of Moonshadow. It's got an aggressive amount of menace. Lavinia in front of the Moonshadow again. This doesn't work. I've got menace. Containment Priest dies to Lizard. I continue to have menace. They don't survive this, right? So an effective 7. It's taking 6. I don't think they survive this. And if they do, then their board's destroyed. Containment Priest there. I don't think they have a block. Double blocking on Hogaak. So they take 4 from that. They gain 3. They take a billion. The priest can get in the way here, and then they take 2, 4, 6, going up, so they go to 1. So that's the block, right? Containment Priest on Lizard. We pump Lizard. So they go to 1 here, I think, is the joke. And we win, and we trophy with our mono black Bazaar deck. Rip everyone else's play points for the next 6 days. What an absolutely fantastic league that was. What a lot of fun. Right, let's look at our deck. See how great we are at deck building. No, I think it had issues, right? I don't like my Graveyard Hate Suite. 2 Voidwalkers, Ravenous Trap. I don't like that at all. The Moonshadows were impressive. Most times we drew them. These lizards should be green because we're trying to cast a Hogaak. Bloodghast never came up, which is a shame, but the card's cool. Feed the Swarm, I'm always excited to play, and I do love the Cabal Pit. But we got away with it quite a lot there with just dump, power, run, and smash face. So we didn't face a Bowmaster. We faced that deck at the end with Supreme Verdict and that sort of thing, which was interesting. I feel like we got away with one against Kenzaburo, although they top decked that Ancestral to make our hearts beat faster. And then Urborg with the Moonshadows and stuff was pretty good as well. Moonshadow has made a bit of a splash in Vintage and is doing very well for itself. So it might be a card that we need to keep an eye on as it keeps growing. It's very cool. Got no idea what's fucking going on in that picture though. Good grief. I don't want to look at that again. And yeah, no. A fabulous time out with Mono Black Bazaar of Baghdad and Hogaak, which is one of the coolest cards around. So, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I know I did. And I'll see you next time.